The Cerebral Entertainment Podcast.
Hey everybody, thank you for checking into this edition of the Cerebral Entertainment Podcast. I am here in the throne room at Four Brothers Mead at 124 East Main Street in Festus, Missouri. We sat down with these guys today and had a fantastic time, enjoyed a flight of mead apiece for Colton and myself, and talked to these guys. They were very hospitable, down to earth. I highly recommend Four Brothers Mead. You shan't be disappointed. Veteran owned, veteran operated, and you can come down to 124 East Main Street in Festus, Missouri, or check them out at fourbrothersmead.com. That's F-O-U-R, brothersmead.com. And if you're in Sweden, if you're in California, wherever you're at, you can order mead online. How good of a deal is that? One more time, Four Brothers Mead. You can check them out on social media. Hope you enjoy this episode just as much as we did. And here we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to yet another riveting edition of the Cerebral Entertainment Podcast. I am James, and with me, as always, is my good friend Colt.
Yes, sir.
And with us here today at Four Brothers Mead, we have Dan and Joe.
Hey.
How are you guys doing today?
Good. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us in this fantastic room. As I mentioned before, by the way, this is take two. I feel awkward if I don't say that. I just feel like I'm faking everything.
Let's just get it right out the table.
Life is a lie if I don't get that out. So this is
I was fighting inside of my head. Should I say anything or it's only been a minute and a half, but we're rolling good, right? So should I say anything?
It was a good 90 seconds, but
it was gold.
You know,
sometimes you lose it though, but that's okay. We're very happy to be here. Appreciate you guys for having us. We're gonna take two once again, but I already know that you guys know where the term honeymoon first originated. But let's hear that again because I never did get to hear your answer. So what do you got? Where did the honeymoon originate?
Absolutely, man. So when you talk about, old world society and traditions and whatnot, so the term honeymoon came from, a derivative of this story. So when two people get married, the tradition was to give the Mr. and Mrs. basically enough mead to last a full lunar cycle.
Okay.
So essentially, the honeymoon is where it came from. The honey and the moon, and basically it would be the goal of that time was you talk about consummating marriages and the bonding and the sweetness of everything that goes around that. But that's where the term honeymoon.
Is that what you got, Joe?
Yeah, I was going to say the exact same thing. I believe it was the groom's family would give the mead, and it was supposed to help with consummating the marriage and bearing children. So it's supposed to be some sort of aphrodisiac and assist with making babies.
Procreation,
Right.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why you created this, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's the sole number one reason.
Make more babies.
That's our mission statement.
Make more babies.
It's on the business card.
Yeah. Flip the cards over. It's there.
That's awesome. So I figured you guys would know that because you are meaters?
Meatheads.
What are you? Meatheads?
Sure,
I
why
like
not?
that.
Meatheads.
I like that a lot.
And we need that on some kind of. We need to get a T-shirt
sure.
or like a
got mead or meatheads.
like a meathead kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's jump into this show proper. You guys have a fantastic place here, like I mentioned. A lot of bones. You have a throne. A lot of wood. What more could you want? But how did this all get started? Where did this all originate right here for Four Brothers Mead?
Man, this started, I'd say about 4.5 years ago. I found a bottle of mead when my wife and I were out and about. I don't remember where I got it from. I forget the name of it. It's a great start of a story, right? And we brought it. I believe it was a birthday party for Chris. I think it was something to do with Chris. And so the four of us were there. We were trying it. It was awesome. It was a taste that me personally, I can't speak for the other three, that I've never had before. Because I always hear, I'm going to drink some mead. I was like, I've never had mead. What the heck is that,
Right.
I tried it, and it was amazing. And I tell people this, and I always get some weird looks. But it was real. It had like a real earthy flavor. And the only way I can describe the flavor is kind of like the smell of like a petting zoo. As weird as that sounds. But you know what I mean? Like the smell of hay and and just dirt. It was, I don't know, it was amazing. So we went around to several different stores in the area where we all live, and we were buying up mead. We couldn't find any producer that made something like we had tasted. And I don't know who had the bright idea to just start making our own. I don't know if it was you, but we started messing around, making our own, going through different types of honey, different types of yeast. And eventually we found a flavor that we like, and we were just making it for family events. So it's something that we can make, let it sit, let it age, and then maybe like a holiday or something, we break it out and we celebrate, you know. Okay. We were having our spouses try it, our friends try it, and then like they would take a bottle home that we would give them, and they're like, hey, I had some friends of mine try this and they want to buy some. It's like, well, we can't do that.
Kind of illegal.
It's illegal, you know, it's illegal. We don't want to go to jail. Right?
Yeah.
And after months of that, we were like, you know what? Maybe there's something in this. Maybe we should try this out. And so it just went from there. And so the last like 40 years, it was just getting bigger and bigger fast. So until a year ago when we were able to move into this place, we actually opened March of 2020, right. The week everything was supposed to close down.
Of course,
yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, our countertops weren't even done. And I know Dan and I were standing here in the tasting room, and we were reading that everything's going to be closed. And we're like, well, perfect time to open. Let's do curbside pickup or online ordering and pickup only. So, and that's where it's been since then.
Well, now you guys said all four of you have full-time jobs. This isn't your main gig, right?
Correct.
So it wasn't that big of a deal, right? I guess to open up knowing that you guys still have like this isn't your main gig and you could go under fast is what I'm trying to say.
Oh yeah, I mean the livelihood of feeding my family and stuff is not gonna, you know what I mean? Yeah. We all have other full-time jobs, and like Joe said, this started off as just something fun and a hobby, something we wanted to do to kind of recreate an old world tradition, and then eventually we had to make a decision on, hey, do we keep this a hobby or do we take it to the next level? But yeah, you're right. But it's definitely, like Joe said, has grown exponentially to where this is a second full-time job for sure.
And every step of it is absolutely terrifying because it's like, does someone have to quit their job? How do we do this? Well, if I quit my job, I got to sell my house. I got to live under a bridge. I'm going to have to move into your basement. Like, I don't know. So it's busy. Like I get off work.
It's a big leap
on Fridays and I come straight here. I go home, change, I come straight here.
Wow.
So.
Does it seem pretty rare to me, I guess, but I'm not like engulfed in it. Does it seem pretty rare for people to get into making mead right now? Like, I don't know why, but that seems like craft beer, like that's been a sensation over the past quite a few years. Like people are really getting into home brewing and things like that. I don't feel like you hear that much about mead doing that.
And you don't. I feel like we don't. There are a few regulars that we have here that they're kind of getting into it. They, because it sounds fun. It's fun to do. It takes patience, takes time, and it's just something that they could kind of relax with and do it on their own. And
really, when you look at the history of it, the mead is the first alcohol that humans have been producing, that have first produced. In fact, it occurs naturally in the wild, without any human interaction. However, that said, over the course of history, and I'm kind of a history nerd, I guess you'd say, but there was a point in agriculture where we start developing those vineyards and wheat fields and more of the traditional beer and ale and wine ingredients in agriculture. Probably about the 1800s is when mead really started to slide out of popularity. And then really it's kind of remained always there, but just not at the forefront for the last couple hundred years. And now, you're starting to see a little bit of a resurgence. And so basically what you're looking at then is you have a bunch of these old world recipes and ideas and a whole generation of people who have heard of mead in videos and shows and whatnot, but it's not like on every shelf, like you said, or a microbrew on every corner kind of thing. So, one of the things that we wanted to accomplish, and again, in bringing back our ancestry and old world traditions, is to kind of revitalize that in our own way. But yeah, I mean, why mead? It's again, it bases off of our ancestry and the tradition and what we wanted to do, and it's really kind of bring it back in a way that would have to make it in a method that would have been very similar to how our ancestors would have made it 1,000 years ago.
Nice. Yeah. And I think it seems a little trendy to me too. Not in a bad way. It's like in a good way. It's a little lower key than a lot of other alcohols. And so people might say, "Hey, have you tried this new IPA or tried this wine?" Yeah, but have you tried mead?
Right.
Have you tried this mead?
Yeah.
So probably not. No, a lot of people haven't. So
A lot of people don't know about it.
Right. That's exactly right. And so I think it's a little bit novel, I guess is a word nowadays at least.
Right.
You talk about your ancestry. You're talking about you in particular. Your ancestry is what? Viking? Is that what we're working with here?
Yeah. So our Joe and I are brothers, and our ancestry, and I've done a lot of genealogy and DNA tests, all that kind of stuff. I nerd out on that, but
Nice.
Our ancestry is very much, and when I say very much, I mean like 99.9%, the Northern Germanic territories. So you're talking all of Northern Europe between Germany, France. You're talking Scandinavian. You're talking what is now the UK, the British Isles, Britannia back in the day. So everything around the North Sea and that area. It's not like the word Viking isn't necessarily a one specific point on the map.
Sure,
It's more of a people.
Gotcha.
And in a culture and in an area. So and our ancestry stems from that area. So
Okay, interesting. I've traced mine a little bit, probably not nearly as in depth as you. It sounds like it's what you do. It's like you dig deep into whatever it is you're doing.
He's definitely spent a long time doing this. Even before we were getting involved with mead making. Yeah.
Which is fun. But I trace almost all of my last names. That's as far as I've gone. No DNA test or anything like that. But most of the last names on mom and dad's side all come back to around the UK, Britannia area.
Yeah.
So can I be grafted into this lineage too?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Great.
Yeah.
Makes me feel a lot more at home. Before we move on, though, let's as we go, let's go ahead and sample some of these colts so we don't lose time. This first one, I don't want to butcher the name, so why don't you tell me what the name of this number one in this flight here that we have of meads here available at Brothers Mead?
We poured a flight for you guys to try out while we're doing this, and we hope you enjoy it. Dan can pronounce the names better than me, but it's Odin's Harafen is our first one. That's just our traditional flavor, and it is the base for all of our flavors.
Gotcha.
So when we make it, everything is that number one, Odin's Harafen.
Okay.
And later on, we just flavor it with all natural flavoring. So as we make our way through, you might be like, oh, that's a real subtle taste. For example, we have a strawberry. People are like, oh, it's not really strong on strawberry. Like other people are like, oh, it's great. But have you ever dropped a strawberry in a glass of water, and you know what I mean?
Right.
It's you'll see what I'm talking about.
Okay.
But yeah, let's try number one.
Okay. Now I notice now it's actually spelled out phonetically there, so I could have at least tried.
Yeah.
But
Oh, it's all right.
It's all right. Yeah. While you're drinking that, all of the names of our meads come from a Norse mythology background, and it stems from like an old Icelandic language, which is the closestly related to what would be considered the Old Norse spoken language, even though that is lost to our history. But,
okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So Odin was a god, is that right? Or was he just a warrior or something along those lines?
Yeah, so Odin in Norse mythology was the Allfather.
He was the god.
So
Big guy.
there are several gods, but he was one of the Aesir, one of the gods in Asgard, and he was the father, so to speak, of all the Allfather of the gods and whatnot. But without diving into I don't want to make this podcast a Norse mythology lecture, but to get right to it. And Hrafen is an Old Norse for raven. So Odin had
Odin's Raven.
Ovens
Oh,
or Ovens.
I was
raven.
about
We're
to-
back to Anchorman
I know.
again.
I was about to say.
Yeah.
Was that on purpose? Is this an Anchorman reference?
I can't say it is, but I'm not going to say it's not.
Well,
That's
if,
awesome.
If not, it worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
If it is, it's perfect anyway. That's just fantastic.
Thanks.
It's good. What do you think about that?
So
Colt?
wait, you said you've had mead before,
I have.
like a mead before, but you never had Four Brothers, right?
That's correct.
What did you think of the first one?
The first one, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. It has, now correct me if your palate is different, anybody. It has a wine feel to it. Is that correct?
Yep.
Is this more wine than beer?
Right. So mead is technically considered a wine because of the process in which the conversion to alcohol takes place.
Mhm. Which is what, by the way? Just
Wh-
in a nutshell.
Yeah, no, it's fermentation.
Okay.
So
As
much
opposed
like
to brewing.
right, as opposed to brewing or distilling, or it's fermentation,
Right.
which is why it's considered a wine. The process which the sugars are converted to the alcohol.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Instead of grapes, like wine, we use honey, but it's a very similar chemical reaction.
Okay.
What about
Good.
time frame? Does it take about the same amount of time to do a mead as a wine, or is it different?
There are some variations because we are using honey versus grapes, but much like a wine, the longer you let it age, the better.
Okay.
Beer you could turn around relatively quickly. Our meads take on average about 6 months to go from day one to bottle ready. Now there is some variation in that depending on the season, harvest of the honey, and other factors, but it's definitely about 4, 5, 6 months, about 6 months probably.
So you have to be patient.
Oh yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
We have batches going right now that that we've identified as spring releases of next year, and now we're looking at October here. So it's we plan ahead.
Yeah.
You gotta
Right,
plan ahead.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
And you just wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part, though,
Yeah.
isn't it?
That's why I like places like this, because I'm not good at waiting. So I can just come here,
That's
get my
right.
mead,
Yeah.
and then,
Yeah.
do my
Just don't
thing.
tell me what you have coming, because then I'm going to be worried about it.
No, it's good. I appreciate that first one. And that's your base, right? That's basically what you base everything else off of before you add any additives, what's
Correct.
Do we have a name for that? What are the additives?
Just
Yeah.
an all natural
Yeah.
fruit flavoring
Okay.
is what we use.
And
Okay.
you touched on a good point too. The one of the things that makes our brand so unique as opposed to other meads you may have had in the past is that whole additives statement.
Mhm.
We wanted to make a traditional mead that was something that very close to what our ancestors would have made 1,000 years ago. So the way we make it is very old world, very old school way of making it.
Nice.
We don't put additives in at all,
Okay.
actually. A lot of in mead making, especially in wine making and mead making, you'll find added sulfites. You'll find different additives that will either stop fermentation or restart fermentation or clarify to make it look pretty or this or that, preservatives, artificial flavor. And there's none of that.
Nice.
So that number one that you tried, there are 3 things in there, and that is it. There's
Wow.
water, honey, and then the yeast to ferment.
Wow.
And that is it.
I totally dig that.
I mean-
That is a natural, like if you're going to drink, you want it as natural as possible, right? If you're trying to stay healthy.
It's
fantastic.
very simple, super simple.
And as we move on to number 2, a seer moon.
That's right.
Go ahead
Yeah.
and phonetically.
I
I'm
knew
not-
it. I knew it. I was going to say, he didn't know.
He's a learned man right there.
I should
Learned
never,
man.
I should have never said anything about the phonetics on here and act like I was just really catching
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
I got that Viking vibe. But at any rate, tell us about a seer moon. What are we working with here?
Yeah, so a sear moon is basically the traditional, again, as the base, with the peels of an orange,
Nice.
orange peel. So we're not squeezing the oranges. There's no orange juice, I guess you would say. All it is it's orange peels.
Mm.
So it's going to be more zest, more bitter. It's not going to be like, don't think of an orange juice or some kind of orange punch. It's more of the zest and the rind and,
Mm-hmm.
the bitter. So it's definitely more bitter like. And we find that a lot of people that tend to like more of like a heavier wheat beer or like a blue moon. I don't want to specifically say blue moon, but you know what I mean? Like
Uh-huh.
something
I got
like
you.
that would be.
Right.
We find that more people are drawn to that flavor.
Yeah.
with that regard.
Blue Moon is actually a good reference. I was thinking IPAs. A lot of IPAs are mixed with a lot of your citrus fruits, orange in specific for a lot of them. So,
right.
But Blue Moon is a fantastic reference too because it's a little lighter on the tongue, on the palate, than what an IPA would be.
Right.
Very smooth. That's good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so if you notice that one is a little clearer in the glass too, and it's again not because we put any chemical adjuncts to filter it chemically. We didn't put it through any different filtration process to make them look pretty or anything like that. It's the heavier elements, and that zest and the rind tend to pull the pectins with the honey and all the other heavier elements in the honey down with it. So it's more of a natural filtration with that particular recipe.
Very good.
You see why I brought Dan along to this?
Smart move. Yeah.
Yeah, because I would be like, taste this, orange. All right, good.
Tastes like orange.
Let's
We
go
did
to
our
the
job, then. We did what we
blackberry.
were supposed
Yeah, right. But if you look at the color of it, which is kind of what I was getting to earlier, you think of orange, you're gonna be like, oh, why is it not doesn't look like a high C or a Tang or because we don't put any artificial stuff in it to make it look like that. It's gonna whatever it's gonna look like, it looks like. So.
I never quite got that. A little off the subject, but not really, because I never got why in the marketplace, like a high C, for instance, not picking on high C,
Right.
But something like that, they color it to be orange instead of just leaving it alone.
Just appeals to the eye.
Yeah, it's just
That's all it is, just to draw you in.
So I am more, especially nowadays, and maybe that's just because I don't know, I'm just older and wiser. We'll just say that. But I'm more interested in the natural, non-additives, no preservatives, things like that.
Right.
That's what appeals to me now. Because if you look at the back of just about anything, you see all the crap that's in there. I'm like, what is that? How did we get to here?
Right.
Yeah.
And so mostly, I guess, because it preserves it for the most part, so it doesn't rot on the shelf.
Correct.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But also, like you said, for eye candy to appeal to the eye, so it sticks out. Oh, high C, that's orange. It reminds you of orange juice, which is healthy, right? So therefore, high C is healthy.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
This-
crazy.
And I don't know, can the camera see the colors of that flight over there?
Kinda, yeah. I mean,
But looking at it from what we could see and what, it's the only one that really is a different color is the number 3.
Number 3 here.
The Ironsides Rain. Because
True.
it's blackberry and it changed the color close, because of the blackberry, the all natural blackberry we put in there. So.
Huh.
See, that one really reminds me of like a grape wine, right?
And that is,
Like
this is the most tasting like a wine, at least to me.
Sure.
And like you said, your palate, everyone's palate's different, but to me, it's the most tasting like wine. And I think because of that, it's actually our biggest seller because of that.
Oh, really?
So,
Yeah.
so like off air, we talked about a little bit about them being chilled. Like some people prefer some chilled over not being chilled. Some of them, are some of them like meant to be chilled to drink or warm to drink, or does it matter? Or
I know when we created this, it's just to serve it in its most traditional form. So room temperature. You
Okay.
try to think back in the day, they didn't really have much refrigeration. Maybe you just put it in like a hole in the ground and keep it colder.
Sure.
Or in
Yeah.
the winter, obviously, it's going to be colder.
right,
So whatever the temperature is, that's what it's going to be,
Right.
So in the summer months, they would, like I said, put it in the ground or cover it with something.
right.
But however, the blackberry is really great chilled. The number 4 is awesome warm, just as well as room temperature. In fact, like for this type of weather, the fall weather, you put that in a crock pot. It's
Really?
like
So you mean warm, not just warm.
exactly.
That's like a
neat
warm
or room
cider.
temperature, but like actually there's a heated up element to it.
Wow. Okay.
Oh wow.
Very interesting.
Like I wouldn't try it in the microwave. I don't know how that would taste, but you know what I mean? Like I would maybe put it on the stove in a pot and try it that way. Like we had a wedding reception here that Dan and I were working, and they put 3 bottles of it in a crock pot, and it was fantastic.
Nice.
It just brought out a totally different flavor. Like all the spices from it.
Which
amazing.
flavor are we talking about that would do that with?
It's going to be the number.
The strawberry. Okay.
No,
number 4.
5. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Five.
Oh, that makes sense when you look at the
Yeah.
ingredients that are in it. Yeah.
Sounds kind of desserty.
Uh-huh.
Maybe.
Right,
Yeah.
but I don't mean to jump ahead. Yeah, let's do the
Number 3.
3.
Ironsides Rain. Now there was no phonetics there, so I read that all on my own.
And you said it wrong. It's iron seeds.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Regular
It's pronounced CEDES.
Some
Yeah.
color there.
See that?
You can kind of
Yeah.
see that. More of a wine, a grape wine looking type of consistency or just color.
Right. So that one there again is the honey water fermented, and then we literally just added blackberries, and that's
Wow.
also which gives it that rich color, and then also gives it that that blackberry element to it, of course, obviously.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, very smooth.
That's
Once again,
fantastic.
very good. Mm-hmm.
thank you. You know, when you talk about things looking pretty, you know, and how did we go from natural to the back of the label and having all this junk all over it, you know? But I wanted to bring up a point too for, you know, those listening to this at a future date. If you see our product on a shelf and you see sediment at the bottom of it, sometimes that happens in all natural things that aren't chemically filtered out.
Right.
You know? So because our recipes are so traditional, you will get some of that settling at the bottom. Again, that's the flavor. That's what I consider the good stuff. You mix that up, and that's what gives it the body, the flavor, you know, the whole package to it.
And that actually does happen in other wines and certain beers. Like, but those beers and wines might just be dark bottles,
Yeah,
so you
dark
can't see it.
bottles.
Where ours are a frosted glass to
Makes
kind of
sense.
show
Yeah,
what's
right.
inside it. You know, like we're not trying to hide anything. It's just, you know, Dan's
That's
right.
scared.
That's sediment.
Scared
Yeah.
to show you what we got, right?
Yeah. And if
Yeah.
you see, like, for example, our coffee one probably does it the worst, where the sediments, it's not on the flight of 6.
Okay, I was looking.
I could
Did
get
have
you-
coffee?
I'd say
Oh,
this guy
yeah.
right here might just drink a whole bottle in front of you.
I'm with
if
you.
it's-
That was, love coffee stouts, coffee, really anything, you know.
Oh, did you
So,
see this? They have a mango habanero mead. Did you see this? Good luck pronouncing that name, but still.
Okay, we'll get to that. Just overall, on the healthiness of mead, have you looked into that a lot? Have you researched like whether or not mead is actually considered healthy? Because I did a little bit of research myself,
Sure.
and it has a mythical storyline to it, you know, that followed it about being like the nectar of the gods, you know, good for the body, healthy for the soul. Someone was sick, someone was having a baby, things like that. I don't know about having a baby, but maybe afterwards. I hate to think that they were having, you know, babies while they were drunk, but all that stuff they use it
during the process of birth.
Exactly.
right,
yeah.
maybe.
They
And
didn't
they
have
were,
epidurals.
they were
Yeah.
using it. Dan, you can feel free to correct me whatsoever. Sometimes I just go and I black out.
That's great. That's what makes the best shows here. You know, you just keep it going.
Anyway, the point was, is mead actually healthier than other alcohols? You have an opinion on that or any research?
Yeah,
Anything in moderation. Just jump in real quick, you know.
yeah,
True.
exactly. I mean, so while our mead could be considered healthier than other alcohols because of the natural way that we do it and the lack of other chemicals in there,
Yeah.
we are still not allowed to say, per the governing bodies, that it is a healthy remedy.
Right.
You know, because it does have alcohol at 16%. So,
Sure. So it comes with the same warnings. Don't drive. Not
exactly.
when you're pregnant. No heavy machinery. Be
That
careful on the stairs.
exactly.
Yeah.
That said, we use local honey, which, as you know, local honey is good for seasonal allergies and whatnot. Now,
Yeah.
of course, during that process, there's a 16% level alcohol, which then, you know, can destroy a lot of those elements.
Sure.
However, you know, the honey we use is straight from the hive. And when I mean straight from the hive, I mean literally, you know, right into a 55-gallon drum from the combs themselves, and they get sent to us. So we get chunks of honeycomb and other things, you know, and so during the process in which we create the mead, we don't pasteurize the honey. We don't do anything to alter the natural state of the honey other than just kind of naturally filter and drain out some of those larger chunks, you know. So, and then the rest of it gets naturally settles to the bottom as heavier elements later in the fermentation process. But I mean, it's health factors, you know, while legally I can't say it's healthy,
Sure.
I would say it is certainly healthier than other forms of alcohol.
Especially anything that has the additives and things like that, right? Just from that standpoint, aside from whether or not generally mead is a healthier product because of the benefits of honey, which may or may not have been kind of cooked out of it.
Yeah.
But also something else I came across was the potential for probiotics because of the fermentation process. You know anything about that?
I can't say I do. I haven't had. One of the things I've been meaning to do is get our product, you know, officially analyzed and so I can get the exact contents of some of those things that you're
Sure.
talking about. The different contents when you break down what's, the four main sugar types in honey and some of those other factors you're getting at. But I haven't got the chance to do that yet, so I can't answer that with any, supporting evidence.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and I would say like because of the honey and how much sugar is in honey, you can't just be like chugging bottles, be like, oh yeah, super healthy, and I'm not going to have any allergies because there's gonna be sugar. That's probably the worst thing in it is the sugar.
There's
for
still
you.
sugars.
So
Absolutely
I mean, you
right.
got to still moderation.
Absolutely. Just like anything.
As long as
Right.
you take care of yourself and have a glass or two, you're fine.
I didn't mean to imply that it was like a health drink. Like, this isn't a protein shake, ladies and gentlemen.
I take my bottles to the gym.
I mean,
It's my post workout.
protein shake.
Colt, why don't you get us into the next?
Well, I have
series here.
one question first. So as far as honey goes, a lot of people probably just think honey is honey. You say you get all your honey locally sourced and all that good stuff. What's the difference? Like, would you be with what you put out? Would you be able to tell a big difference if you used honey from somewhere else? Like, how many? Are there a lot of different kinds of honey that you could use, or how does that process work?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So, quick answer: yes, you can absolutely tell the quality of a mead by, by knowing the honey that was used. And
Nice.
you could tell right away. It's so the little honey bears you see on the grocery stores. That's not real honey.
Right.
So
Like look in the back, it says honey and then high fructose corn syrup.
Uh-huh. Right.
It's like
So-
wine.
It's not honey.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
of today, currently the Food and Drug Administration and the governing entities over what labels can say and cannot say. As of right now, you can have up to 50%. I want to say it's 50% high fructose corn syrup mixed with honey, raw honey, and still label it as pure, 100% pure honey.
Isn't that ridiculous?
It's wrong.
It's
Yeah,
absolutely
it's wrong.
crazy. So a lot of those all natural meads or honeys and whatnot you find, they may have a little more natural honey. They may have some corn syrup in there as well. So in the fermentable sugars in corn syrup are vastly different, wildly different from a truly traditional or local honey, altered.
Yeah, interesting.
And he's not saying other mead makers do this. He's just saying that there is a possibility. So if you're a mead maker listening, don't be angry.
Right. Yeah, no. The honey market in general, honey on grocery stores, honey in jars, little honey bears, things like that.
Yeah, next time you go to the store, look at that. Just
Yeah.
stop and take a few minutes in that honey aisle
Yeah.
and look at the difference. You're like, what?
And they could even say honey, 100% pure honey, and it could still be labeled as 100% just honey with corn syrup in there. So it's kind of tricky right now,
Yeah.
but rest assured that Four Brothers Mead uses and will always use local pure honey direct from the source, from the farm, right into our process. So
And when we
Fantastic.
went to our honey provider, we actually drove out there and we meet them and we see their process. So we
toured
know,
the facility.
we know what they're doing. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
Can we
That's
shout?
awesome.
Can we shout out who this is, or do you not want to?
we would probably just kind of hold on to that
Okay,
just for
no
right
problem.
now.
Yeah, that's
Maybe,
fine.
a,
That's
maybe
fine.
a trade secret thing.
Yeah,
I get it.
Everybody-
I get it.
yeah,
No problem.
But
I will tell you, I get my honey locally sourced as well from southeast Missouri, and it's awesome. I mean, sometimes I just take a spoonful and eat it.
Oh,
because
yeah.
I
Oh,
love
yeah.
it.
It's
It has
fantastic.
Antioxidants. It kind of gives me a sugar rush too, to be honest with you. But I just feel like it's healthy. Like it's just good.
Every day in
Coming-
the spring, that's what I do.
Is that right?
Just in case it helps with allergies. I mean,
There
Absolutely.
you go. Okay.
maybe mine are just so bad. I don't know. I still do it.
I mean, who knew that bee vomit would just be so delicious?
Is that
what it is?
and nutritious.
Because I was thinking it came out the other side, so it's
Yeah.
actually vomit, right?
That's right,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. I'm glad to know that. That makes it a lot better.
I had
It
no
was
idea.
slightly cleaner.
This is new news to me. I had no idea what it
Yeah.
actually was. Okay.
Let's move on to number 4.
Valkyrie's Descent.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. So I have had this actually, and I really like it.
I've just smelled it so far, and
Uh-huh.
it smells fantastic.
Yeah.
It really does. You can really smell the strawberry
Mhm.
essence coming off of this. So how is this made? What do you do when you have your base and you add the strawberry? We actually dip in strawberries in this?
That's
or-
right. Yeah, no. So what we do is, much like the others, other fruit flavors. Again, that one, Valkyrie's Descent, is our mead with strawberry, and we start with the base, the traditional of the fermented water and honey, and then we'll add strawberries to it. And again, I wish there, I could go on and on about different flavors. And in fact, I don't really wish that at all. It's
That's what I was going to say.
it's just strawberry, and that is
That's
it.
it.
So
Fantastic.
there's no magic formula or anything.
See, it actually surprised me because you said that some people look at this like it's not strong enough.
Yeah, they're like, it's not red. It's on the
Yeah, it's not red, or
strawberry.
it's-
Oh.
but that it's not strong enough or something like that. But if you just think about just using strawberries, it kind of surprises me that you get this much flavor out
Right.
of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have our methods on how we slice and dice the strawberries to extract more flavor and this and that, but it is just strawberry. And again, you're not going to get that dark red color like you think in a strawberry punch. There's no dyes or artificial anything. It's and depending on the harvest of the strawberries, it's going to change.
Okay.
So some batches may be a little bit more potent, and others may be a little more subtle.
And that also goes with the honey that gets put in it. The time of the year that we get the honey.
Absolutely.
You know?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's kind of neat.
Yeah.
So, like
'Cause this-
it's unique to
Right.
the season. That's pretty
Like
cool.
a spring honey might be more flavorful than a fall honey,
Right.
just because the time of year when the plants are growing or dying. So yeah.
That's what's up. You do have to kind of be a scientist to really do this, right? I mean, you got to do some research.
Little mad scientistry going on.
Uh-huh. Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting too because if you do it in the spring, you're not going to taste it until like the winter, anyways.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh yeah, very true. Very
Absolutely.
true. So what about temperatures during the fermentation process? Does that have to be pretty well controlled?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So depending on the yeast that you use, and other mead makers will recognize this as well, but depending on the yeast you use, there are certain environmental variables that you need to control. Temperature is a big one. So some yeast need a very tight temperature, and others have a little more flexibility. It all kind of depends on what flavor you want and what you're trying to accomplish.
Mhm.
Do you want more of a sparkling mead, or do you want more of a drier, or there's 101 different ways to make mead. You're never going to hear me badmouth any other mead maker.
I think there's actually 102.
102. Correct. I stand corrected.
Forgot that one.
102. So yeah, but no, I mean, there's a bunch of different ways to make it. This is how we make it. But yes, temperature does play a big factor.
Okay. So I've noticed that so far you don't, and maybe never, so you can school me on this, but you never use any hops. Never make any, what's it called, braggot? Is that correct?
That's correct.
For the kind of it's more of a beer mixture with the mead.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's something that we want to do.
Okay.
We have not gotten the chance to do it yet, but
Okay.
it's on the to-do list for sure.
You just let me know if I'm like stepping on your toes constantly with these questions. I
No,
feel like-
that's great, man. These are great
Yeah.
questions. Fantastic. I can tell you've done homework, man. That's fantastic. Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
I'm just excited for you guys to, when you finish number 6, I'm going to go out and grab two samples of the coffee mead.
Okay.
Oh, snap.
Oh yeah, there
Yeah.
you go. Yeah, let's
Because
move down the line.
that's my favorite. I probably couldn't sit there and drink a whole bottle, but like maybe a glass or two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that definitely piques my interest. I don't know if y'all noticed though, but I started out, kind of taking my time, and this one's completely empty. So it's a downhill slope. It is really, really good though, and it's so smooth that I would have to be careful, to make sure that I don't,
Yep.
because it is so smooth.
Mhm.
It goes down so
yeah.
nicely
Oh, yeah.
that. And the ABV, as we go into number 5, which is no phonetics on this one. Dringer's Fortune.
Dringer's Fortune. That's
Nice.
correct.
Okay,
yeah,
so-
absolutely.
We're going to start sampling Dringer's Fortune, which is a mead with apple, cinnamon, nutmeg, and allspice. Now, this is the one you were talking about that can be
Correct.
heated up and
Yes.
used as kind of like a
Correct.
dessert mead.
Right.
Right?
Kind of like
Oh, yeah.
mulled wine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we've done in the past is, as you try it here, what we've done in the past is taken this and placed it in a crock pot on low temperature, and anyone at home can feel free to do the same thing. Just to get it a little warm, kind of like a hot toddy or whatnot.
So like I'm assuming this won't be out before Halloween, obviously, since it's only 2 days away.
Yeah, well, it
That's
won't
But
be
this
fun.
would be perfect for the adults, like on the driveway. You
Right.
heat up your mead
Absolutely. Around a
And
bonfire or something?
with your with your fire on the driveway.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Wow. I mean, can we actually go with like the old style pot and build a fire?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Even better.
The cauldron,
Yeah.
cauldron.
That would be
Or
a
just
lot
get
of
out there
mead.
on a random Tuesday night, in the middle of December.
too.
and you know,
Either
with the
way is
cauldron.
fine. Either
Yeah.
way is fine.
Absolutely. So, anything else to note when it comes to the making of this Dringer's Fortune?
So,
Anything
Dranger's
interesting?
Fortune is our apple pie mead, and it is, again, the traditional mead with cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice. For the batch you're trying, we used a Honeycrisp apple. We wanted to give it that little. We wanted that Honeycrisp element as opposed to like a Gala apple or a Granny Smith or whatnot.
Sure. Yeah.
Nice.
Honeycrisp does seem like it kind of was a natural selection. Am I right with the honey mead?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely.
And this has a unique smell compared to all the other ones and taste. Like this is way different than anything else we've had so far in your flight.
I mean, he mentioned hot toddy, and as soon as I smelled it, that was the first thing that popped in my head. Hot toddy.
Yep.
For sure.
And there's I don't want to ruin the flavor for you, but there's a lot. I don't want to say a lot, but there's a handful of people that have come in. They get to number 5 and they're like, nope. College ruined me. I can't drink any Fireball. We're like, oh, come on.
I had a bad Fireball
I
experience.
get it.
That wasn't me. So
Yeah.
as long as it doesn't taste like straight vodka, I'm good.
Yeah,
So,
which you won't have here.
Yeah, we're good then. So what do you think of this, Colt? This is definitely very interesting.
Phenomenal.
It is. It does have a dessert feel to it.
I
think-
love the idea of warming this up like in a crock pot and adding like some cinnamon. Not that you need it, but you could.
Oh yeah, I would definitely
Well,
try
that's
it
the thing.
before adding it because
When
the spices will come out, and they have.
Okay.
I mean,
I would definitely recommend, adding a cinnamon stick, maybe cut up an apple, throw it in that crock pot with it as well.
There you go.
I think that'll add an extra pop above and beyond the fermented final product.
I would say I would try it first, like this,
Right.
and then throw
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Sure.
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely.
Work up from there.
Yeah.
Now, but what about someone's like, oh, I got a green apple here. You think that would work? Because I don't. I mean, green apples are pretty tart.
Yeah, I would try to stick with a Honeycrisp if you can.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be
Interesting. Something I've noticed: the Valkyrie's descent kind of had more of an aftertaste than it did up front. This one hits you right up front.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
When it hits the palate, you know what you're drinking. You're drinking the drinker's fortune.
So good when it hits the lips.
You got it for me.
Yeah.
When it hits your lips, it's so good, so good.
A lot of
So yeah, all the ones
Will
you've had
Ferrell
so far
references
I
today.
love it.
are all fruit, more of the fruity meads, and this one is more of a spiced,
Yes.
spiced
Yeah,
meads.
absolutely.
And everyone you've had so far has been more on the drier side for meads. So our
Okay.
meads are more drier compared to most meads you may find on the shelf. This next one is going to be different.
Okay.
All right.
This next one is considered a sweet mead. So all these ones have been more dry or semi-dry, off dry, as opposed to this final one on the list.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So, like, I know I've compared it to craft beer several times, but going back to that again. So, with craft beer, like if you do a flight, a lot of times they'll recommend doing it in order based off a palate. Is that kind of what you're doing here too?
Mhm. Yeah,
Does
the
that it does
boldness
matter?
and the flavor definitely changes.
Okay.
And I'm glad you have some of that left. I was going to say clear your palate
Cleanse it,
with
yeah.
that one
Mhm.
before you try it.
Do that one last because that's a great point. Instinctively, I must have known it, right? 'Cause I was going for it. but
Absolutely.
we'll
Yeah.
Go ahead and finish this
Yeah.
one first.
Yeah, that traditional is a good palate cleanser in between any of the flavors.
That's good.
Mhm.
I like that. It's good. So I have phonetics on here. I'm still not going to try it. What's this last one called? Number 6.
So number 6 is pronounced Igdrasil.
Yggdrasil.
Which
Yggdrasil.
means
So in Norse mythology, as you know, I know that you've heard through the Marvel stories and whatnot, but the Yggdrasil in Norse mythology is the tree of life or the world tree. You've heard of Asgard, Midgard, Helheim, all the rest of them.
Yeah, it
Svartalheim.
connects the 9 realms.
All of the 9 worlds all reside in and around this tree of life that holds all of the worlds, and that tree is pronounced Yggdrasil.
Okay.
And that's the story, but that's the Old Norse tie, the Norse mythology tie to that flavor.
Very cool.
It is a mead with maple,
which
so-
also makes sense.
Which also makes sense.
The
So
sap from the tree.
Right.
Like,
So that is you're literally drinking, and I can't put this officially on the bottle, but the sap from the tree of life in Norse mythology.
Very nice.
Wow.
and this Yggdrasil sap, we use, as you can see on the flight card, we use Summit Maple Farms.
Okay.
And
okay.
they're a veteran-owned company. We try to do a lot with other
Very cool.
veterans. Being all
Awesome.
4 of us being veterans ourselves.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice.
This guy and gal met in the Army, and they're still in. So they have their own maple tree farm, and they're awesome.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
That's awesome.
Yet another element to make this even better and better. All
Are they
natural.
local? Or are they?
They're not local.
No. Okay.
Yeah. And our coffee one that I'm about to get you,
Mhm.
also a veteran.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah,
We love
Summit
that.
Maple Farm is out of, I want to say Fairfax, maybe Vermont, but they're up in Vermont. They've got trees. They've got their big property they own. They've got trees on their farm that they tap right into. It comes back to the boil house, I guess it's called. I'm not sure, but basically where you boil down the sap to produce the actual maple.
Got you. Okay.
That we consume. But yeah, right from their farm, right to here. So.
Before we move on, I have to say I came back to Sierra Moon, and it's hitting even better now. I don't know why.
So
how that happens.
I'm gonna hit on that. We when people come in and they'll try the flight, we tell them, because we've had some people come in and be like, oh yeah, they just shoot it. We're like, okay, don't shoot it.
Not good.
And yeah, don't come in and shoot it. They we tell them some advice. We say is take a couple sips of it, maybe half of it, move on to the next one, because it might take a little bit for your palate to start breaking this down, especially if you're not used to a mead. And we still do it too if we're going to sample new flavors. But yeah, you go through it, you come back, and it does. It almost has a different taste to it.
Yeah, it's like invigorated almost. I don't
Yeah.
know how that works. I have no science or any reference
just-
point whatsoever,
yeah.
but I just came back on accident, and it's great.
Yeah.
So what we recommend to all of our patrons that come in, especially anyone who has never had mead before, is try the flight. When you try the flight, save a little bit of each and come back to it, because that very first sip you have is always going to be a shock to the palate.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you've been drinking mead your whole life, if it's the first sip of mead of the day, it's going to be a palate adjustment. And that's testament to the natural way that we make it and the high alcohol percentage. It's not sugar coated. I'll put it that way as a reference. It's not sugar coated to accommodate a palate right out the get. So now that you've had a sip or two, and it's not that you're completely hammered or anything and you lost taste, it's just that your palate is now seasoned and
That's COVID.
you're able to COVID, yeah. You know what I mean? So that's what we recommend to people that come in. Save a little bit, come back to it, because I promise you it's going to taste different.
It is, and I will reiterate that. I will, reinforce that notion, because when I did that, like I said, I had no idea what I was doing, but I just noticed how good it hit.
Yeah.
That second time. So
Yeah.
that's a strong recommendation. Follow Dan and Joe's advice on saving a little bit. Probably the most of this one, the first one, get you a sip of it to kind of maybe acclimate the palate to what you're getting ready to do.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of that one, and then as you go along, you can drink more and more, but then come back to this.
Yeah.
Like I said, also for a palate cleanser, whenever you need, right?
That's
Number
right.
one.
Yep,
So
the traditional.
maybe
that's
even
right.
maybe even double up on number one and get you a glass of it or
There
whatever,
you go.
however you sell that. But very interesting. So let's try number 6,
The Tree of Life.
the Tree of Life sap.
That's
And
right.
you
That's
try
good
that.
enough.
I'm gonna go get 2 samples of coffee.
Okay.
Yeah, fantastic.
Of our
So-
there you go,
Bjarg
man.
Kraken. It's gonna be awesome. Oh, what would you like too, sir?
Yeah, can you give me a little something too? As I shake the change bowl here.
Just
Hey,
a
how
little
about a little-
something.
I was drinking the traditional. Actually, it's one of my favorites.
Very good. So as we're sampling this, Dan, I've been wondering this the whole time, but the conversation just kind of keeps winding away from this. But I'm curious. We're actually working with 4 brothers here, right? So talk about the family name. What's going on here?
That's right,
4
man.
siblings. And
Yeah.
I heard something about a sister in there too. Is that right?
Yeah. So
So-
Joe and I are brothers by birth, and we have we have a couple sisters, but one of the sisters married Chris, who's our brother-in-law. Then, so Chris is one of the brothers as well. So myself, Joe, Chris, and then Brian is a brother in arms. So he was a combat medic assigned to Joe and Chris's units in Afghanistan and Iraq, and that's where they met. I was in and out of the military before those guys were in, so I'm kind of the old man of the group. But that's how then Brian, got to know everybody, or we got to know Brian. Either way, but those are the 4 brothers. So I mean, really, when you talk about family and the warrior mentality, the military, the veteran brotherhood, it's we may not all have been born from the same parents, but you're as tight as family gets.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
It's
4 brothers.
You know,
4
you
brothers all the
gotta-
way, for
Right.
sure. I
So
love
as far
it.
as the
Love it.
process goes, are all 4 of you guys like 4 equal parts
Yep.
included in this? Like even the process of making it and everything? Are you guys all really involved in everything?
Yeah, and so we, like we talked about before, with full-time jobs, and Brian works with the hospital, with Frontline, and all the with our COVID environment. He's very busy at the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Joe is very busy in his role, and so is myself and Chris. But so we try to work around our full-time day job schedules to accommodate, hey, who can work this time, who can work best at each time during our production schedule. So we all try to work into it the best we can. It may not always be, 25% equal across the board,
Right.
but by heart we're all in there, and we all try to put in our weight when we can. So
Fantastic. Yeah, that's good. So I'm drinking this sap from the Tree of Life.
How
and
different is that from all the other ones?
It's quite different.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It hits completely
Yeah,
different. But
like the feel is thicker when you drink it, and
it's really good.
yeah.
It's really good.
It probably is actually the thickest.
it is
Yeah.
the thickest
Probably
because
because of the maple.
right. It's because of the maple. However, early on, before we were introduced to Summit Maple Farm, we used I guess I would say a less pure form of maple, more of a store-bought maple. And this is before we had this whole the meadery up and running here and all this. When we were doing little 1-gallon test batches, and we've tried other maples before, and you can really tell the difference. Much like the differences in honey, there's a big difference in maple itself.
Really?
And
Yeah, and that's crazy. I feel like the old maple we used was
way
thicker.
way thicker. And
But had less taste.
less
This
taste.
was thinner, but has way more taste. Like,
That's
Really?
because
Wow.
it's amazing.
it's real maple,
Yeah.
straight from the trees in Vermont, straight to us. The other stuff is store bought, so you're going to have some of the unnatural additives in there.
Sure.
And again, we were testing recipes, testing theories, ideas. But yeah, when you move from like a artificial maple to the legit stuff,
Yeah.
it's going to be real maple is a lot thinner and lighter, but it has more of a powerful taste to it.
Right. We can't speak enough of these two, Sun Maple Farms. They're great. We're super lucky and blessed to have met them.
Yeah,
Especially
if,
being other veterans. They've
if any of your
Absolutely.
listeners out there like maple syrup at all, definitely it's worth a visit to Summit Maple Farms website. It's the best maple I have ever had,
Wow.
and I like maple. So
So before we move on, do you all ship? Is that a thing? Can you ship mead to other parts of the
Yes.
country?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good, because we have listeners that are spread out across.
Awesome.
We definitely like to branch out to a more national audience.
And
Yeah.
I would say if your listeners when this comes out, they might go to our website and they'll see the price of shipping, which kind of sucks.
Sure.
We're continually looking for other shipping options. When they go on our website, they'll see that it's through Vino Shipper.
Okay.
If they're going to try it out, we suggest buying 2 bottles, maybe 3, because you're paying the same shipping price
Absolutely.
as one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The
Right.
first
Yeah.
bottle,
It's
It's
based on weight, right?
and
yeah.
it sounds like, oh, you're trying to make a sale. No, yeah, sure, but no, we're trying to save money, and like this is the best
Yeah.
we could do. And-
So what it is this: UPS is our shipper. So you'll receive a package from UPS when you order from us online, and as opposed to shipping a bottle of water, if you're shipping a bottle of alcohol, you've got a hazardous duty tax that UPS adds on because it's alcohol. You've got an adult signature tax that gets added on, which is probably $7 or $8 alone. On
just to
shipping.
have a signature.
And then you've got the weight, of course, associated with the 3-pound bottle with liquid and all that. So there are some costs associated, but like Joe said, the first bottle is 95% of the cost. The second one only adds a couple bucks. So, but to answer your question, yes, we do ship. Currently, we ship to 41 different states
very
throughout
nice.
the country.
Heck
We're
yeah.
we're
Sweet.
working on. We're very close to an additional 1 or 2, maybe even 3 states, but there are some states that just don't allow.
Which I believe that map
imports.
is on our website.
Right.
I believe
Yeah.
it is like where we ship to. I believe it's a
Okay.
tab
Right.
in the upper left-hand corner.
Fantastic.
3 little hash marks.
Go ahead and
Right.
plug that website if you don't care.
Yeah,
What?
so it's fourbrothersmead.com.
Okay.
And then we have a Where We Distribute tab, which lists all the stores in the state of Missouri that we distribute to through Power Play Beverage. And then when you go to the shop button, it'll take you to our Vino Shipper page, which is basically our online, the processor, the checkout page, basically,
Sure.
the checkout.
Yeah.
So you'll select your bottles there, add them, and you'll be able to have it shipped to coast.
That's fantastic.
And additionally, actually, we ship internationally. So we have international agreements with DHL. So we've shipped to Sweden, Germany, Australia, currently shipping to Taiwan now. So we are all over the map for sure.
That's awesome.
How does that
Yeah,
feel?
we've seen that come in, and you're like,
Yeah, I'd say, how does that
That's
feel
great.
like when you first started this a little over a year ago? Like, what did you think you'd be shipping to Taiwan?
No, not when you make.
No.
We would make. We didn't make it this way, but we make jokes like, "Oh yeah, we're just making it in a old toilet, in
A bathtub.
in a bathtub, and a ladle."
Out in the
But we actually, we started. It started in Dan's basement. We built a room in his basement for this. Ran plumbing to it and everything. So that was our joke. Like, oh yeah, just making out a.
Yeah, making it in a bathtub. I mean, you got to start somewhere. Really, at that point, it was a homebrew, operation, and you're doing your test batches, test runs, figuring out your ingredients and recipes. So, and it was at that point, like we talked about earlier in the show, about you're at a crossroads. You got to make a decision. Do you want to keep it hobby based, or do you want to try to take it to the next level?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We absolutely did not anticipate this level of support, and but we have a very, very strong, loyal community of veterans, Viking enthusiasts, meat enthusiasts, and then they come in here, they're family, and they know it. So.
And that's what I was going to say is like we never anticipated that much support. And with that, like one of the things, like as it was growing, we're like, man, we gotta do something with it. Not just we'll make and sell mead. Okay, sure.
Sure.
So quarterly, what we do, being veterans, and we have other veteran organizations that we partner with, and a lot of them, I know I can speak for these two. They're all like-minded. They want to help and give back to the veteran community.
Right.
So we save up quarterly. We have our mead club where people will pay the $25 a month, and with that includes one bottle a month. They have first dibs like on our special release bottles, like such as the mango habanero. I'm not going to pronounce it because I want you guys to try to pronounce it first. And the money, a portion of that, we are able to write checks to nonprofit organizations. Like we just wrote one to the DAV. We've been able to give money to local Festus fire and police departments. Me having been a police officer, that's huge for me.
Yeah.
DAV because one of the brothers, Brian, they helped him out with the claim, and just things that matter to us
Right.
that help other veterans and local communities. So
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So you don't have just a business; you have a mission behind it,
and that is
you have
it.
like a
Yeah.
clear cut, like
we want
purpose.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're happy that it's growing like it is because it lets us give back and help out other veterans. I mean, you hear all these stories about all this stuff going on. Just the other day, a buddy of mine I went to the police academy with, one of his real good buddies. He just killed himself. So it's tough, and it's not his first friend that did it.
Right.
We're talking about
Veterans,
Yeah.
military veterans.
Yeah. we're talking about my buddy being a seasoned combat vet and all of his friends doing stuff, and and I know that, he's not the only one that goes through this. It's all over the country. It's
Absolutely.
terrible, and I'm sure it's not even just our country. We know it's everywhere. It's just
But with the military, the suicide rate is phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's a real issue that needs as much
Mm-hmm.
attention to it as possible, so that we can try to avoid it. So we can do whatever we can to mitigate that.
and for us, like it might currently it's monetary, but at least we're able to help out and give some stuff. I know this guy, he came in 2 weeks ago, and he's like, I'm just happy you guys are here. There's nothing around here like this. I have tough days, and I can just come in and hang out. And we've had that. We've had a couple, like, we don't expect them to buy a drink.
Right.
Come in and just hang out and BS with us.
Yeah.
We enjoy that, really.
Get that camaraderie that they're missing back.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
One of the most fun nights I had here, the whole tasting room countertop was full, and it was all veterans and a few first responders.
That's awesome.
And you can only imagine the trash talking that was going on. It was like my face hurt driving home. It was awesome.
We have good times here in the meadery for sure.
Yeah.
So you got it. Good deal.
I mean, as far as support goes, too, you guys are in a great spot like in Festus for support as well. Like if anybody hasn't been here. So I've had Four Brothers Mead. I actually bought locally to us, but I didn't know where you guys were located because we came up a couple of weekends ago for that street fest
Yeah.
that happened. Went down to Maine Mill and stuff like that. We knew where that was at, but I had no idea where you guys were located. We just happened to park behind you. I was like, holy crap, they're right there. That's awesome.
Nice.
So I was like, I have to reach out to those guys and try to podcast with
Well,
them.
we're glad you did.
Absolutely.
Like a
Glad you
light
did.
shining down. Whoa.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Four brothers. So
Uh-huh. Yeah.
it's good. I have cleansed my palate.
Oh, you're ready for
And
this.
so I'm ready
check
for this
this out.
coffee. Now, before you get going,
Yeah.
hold that thought. I want to tell you, when you handed me this, it did tricks on my mind because you said coffee. This
Mhm.
looks absolutely nothing like coffee. So
Correct.
Have
from
you
the
smelled
jump-
it yet?
Not yet. I don't want to yet.
Good luck
I
with
want,
that, sir.
I want to hear what he says.
All I was going to say is I'm like you. So my blood type is breakfast blend. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
So, you know,
Breakfast blend positive.
be positive. I'm actually A positive. But yeah, so I love coffee. I love coffee beers, coffee whiskeys. If it has the word coffee in front of it, I'm going to try it.
Mhm.
Same.
Yeah, unless it's like, anyway. But yeah, so when I came up with this, I'm going to claim this one. It's not our best seller either. It's like a 50-50. You either like it or you don't. We've had coffee drinkers that don't like it.
Really?
We've had people that despise coffee and they love it. I mean, when I first thought of this one, I was like, man, I really do we got to try this. I kind of got a little bit of kickback, but I was like, look, what's 1 gallon? What's 1 gallon test batch?
I was worried.
And
I was worried.
it turned out, again, it's not our best seller, but it's some people's favorite. They're not going to.
For those that like it, they love it. And,
Sure.
we'll keep making it as a seasonal item for sure because
Yeah.
a lot of people love it. But yeah, like Joe said, you've got to like coffee.
Yeah.
So what's the process in making it to add the coffee to it?
Have you ever had cold brew?
Yeah.
Cold brew coffee.
Uh-huh.
So they just steep the grounds in water.
Okay.
That's what we do.
Really? Wow.
We steep the grounds in our traditional, the number one Odensraffen. We steep the grounds in our traditional mead. Let it sit for a few days.
It smells like coffee.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's-
already hooked.
Straight coffee.
Yeah. And we've tried it with other coffee brands.
Uh-huh.
And honestly, like this, I think this one tastes the best.
Got Your
It's-
Six coffee out of Springfield, Missouri.
I'm sorry, what was it again?
It was Got Your Six coffee
Got your
Nice.
six.
out of Springfield. Yeah, look that up. Just like Summit Maple Farm with their maple. Got Your Six coffee. I know they ship coast to coast as well, but
Nice.
Eric's an awesome guy.
yeah, they've got some freaking good coffee.
Veteran.
They're
Mhm.
veteran owned. Yep.
Got your
Yep.
six. Mhm.
Yep. He's a
Well, I mean,
he's a coastie.
Coast Guard.
I'm not going to hold that against him, but
Close enough, right?
Eric's
Yeah,
a good
yeah,
guy.
yeah.
He's a good guy. But anyhow, and not to blow your mind anymore here, but we are working on a new flavor release. You like going?
I like it a lot.
So we are working on a new coffee blend. It's a maple bourbon coffee,
Oh wow.
and
Okay.
it's Spike Got Your Six, but it has a little bit of maple to it. It has a little bit of a bourbon element to it, and very much coffee as well to it. So it's
Nice.
fantastic.
I've got to admit, this is one to where I want to take very small sips because I want to savor it.
that's why earlier in the show, I mentioned I couldn't sit there and drink a whole bottle, maybe a glass or two, because yeah, it's awesome. It's more of like, I guess how you would drink a bourbon, really. Yeah, you just want to enjoy it. And,
Right.
yeah.
I mean, this is something I
And
can
the
actually.
back end of it is phenomenal.
It is.
Yeah.
It's great.
The coffee's not when you're going to plow a bottle, but you're going to have a glass and you're going to enjoy it.
Exactly.
Yeah. I would imagine if you plow any bottles of meat,
Yeah. You're gonna
be out of commission for a minute.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
This is fantastic, guys. I want to be mindful of your time. I know you have an engagement coming up soon.
Mhm.
You want to talk about what you have coming up? I know it's a community thing. Is that something you want to go ahead and endorse here?
Yeah. So we have, we've got a bunch of stuff coming up. We always have some kind of event or whatnot on the horizon that we're planning. In general, we have 2 big festivals a year here at our Four Brothers Mead location in Festus Main Street. We have one in late April, which is our Siegerblatt Festival, which is the kind of the beginning of spring, beginning of summer, I guess I should say. And then we have one in the fall, early October, which is our Mead on Maine Festival on Main
Nice.
Street.
Oh,
So
nice.
Love it.
we, typically the last couple festivals, we've had probably close to 3,000 people here for the one-day event. We have, nearly 40 vendors, food trucks. We have live music, axe throwing, archery,
Reenactors. Sword
we have
shields. Oh yeah.
belly fire dancers. We got the whole thing. It's a good time. People come dressed up.
Is this all happening on the street?
Right here in the back lot.
Even
Back lot,
better.
the patio.
Even better.
Jeez, I just picture
Back into the
people
field.
throwing axes
Yeah.
back here. And I'm like,
Well,
my
we
God.
had that. We had the field in the field behind this blue building right here. We had the street closed down. The city approved for us to do that.
Gotcha.
We have guys forging all day.
Yeah, we have Forest and
So-
Fire participants from the past seasons come in. And
Nice.
We have barrel fires going. So you can imagine, like, you get the smell of fire, the sounds of clinking metal, the taste of meat in your mouth, and one of our food vendors had big turkey legs, and you're just
turkey
like,
legs, horns
and you'd be
blowing.
surprised if you show up in April. You come to it, follow us on Facebook. Four Brothers Mead, and I'd say about half or over half actually dress up.
Oh yeah,
And it's awesome. We actually encourage it. Dan dresses up. I don't, because I run like 1,000 miles a minute, and everyone knows Dan. He does a lot of our Facebook commercials and everything. He's got that great face for it, and I'm just running, so I don't think about anything. I'm like, oh, fire for
it's a
wood,
good time.
bottles here, but
I feel like
Yeah.
you're required to have a beard to show up. Is that true?
it is not required.
it is not required at all. It is.
I'm
not required.
preparing just
Yeah.
in case.
Good.
Yeah.
Do not exclude people. If you don't have a beard, you're fine. Come down, drink some mead,
Yeah.
throw some axes.
If you're into Ren fairs, if you're into Viking,
Get drunk and throw axes.
the festivals are for you. You're gonna have a great time. It's kid friendly. We have a good time. So
It sounds fantastic. I
Heck yeah,
just
man.
imagine I'm going to go on a conquest after I get done, though, with
Oh,
all that
yeah.
atmosphere. The ambiance just sounds
we go
very-
through the night too. It's an
And I
all-day
want to say
thing.
the coolest thing, and I'm going to give a shout out here to all of our Mead Club members and all of our regulars that come in for the event size that we have. I think there's only been, I never had to break up any fights.
No.
I think one year someone threw up, cleaned that up, had their buddies drive them home. It is actually, and we've had a lot of compliments on that. It's super calm. Everyone's really polite to each other. It is the craziest thing that you wouldn't think with this many people and alcohol involved.
Yeah, right.
That it would be as calm and like entertaining and as fun as it is. But it's absolutely amazing.
Right.
It's an experience that I've never had in large groups like that.
it's a testament to the way we run our business and how we handle ourselves.
Fantastic.
Isn't it kind of like a testament to the type of alcohol too? Isn't that kind of
Yeah,
how it works also?
I'd say so.
Yeah, we're not trying to bring people here to get, just bingy and stabby and rude.
I don't know. You got like swords on the wall.
We do. Yeah, we do.
a lot of bones.
Well,
We've got a lot of bone. We've got a vertebrae right back over here.
That's the guy I had to kick out. No, I'm just kidding.
So
It's deer. It's a deer vertebrae.
So stepping back, we've got a lot of neat stuff throughout the year we've got going on. We have more stuff on the horizon planned too. You can follow us on social medias where we post all of our latest information. It typically hits there first. Facebook, Instagram at Four Brothers Mead. Of course, the website, we have a events calendar. We try to keep up to date the best we can.
Which is fourbrothersmead.com.
Correct. FourBrothersMead.com, spelled out, F-O-U-R. So
Got
actually, this is late breaking news. I don't know if anybody knows outside of this room right now, but we got an invitation. Four Brothers Mead got an invitation from the Capitol building in Washington, D.C.
Holy cow!
to come out for a very private event for a veteran-owned small business roundtable discussion with Congress and a couple other government entities. But so that's coming up pretty soon too. There are only 15 other businesses in the entire country that have been invited out to this thing.
That's
and
crazy.
And we were recommended. So
That was just yesterday.
that was just yesterday. So this is absolutely breaking news. So we very soon we will be out in D.C. The brothers will, and we'll be talking, to other members of Congress about the meat industry and about our product and in particularly veterans support and how we can help other veteran-owned small businesses. So that we're super thrilled about that. So we'll have to get back in touch with you and follow up on that.
Absolutely.
man. I'm
Yeah.
excited about that.
Yeah.
So, guys, look, you have definitely exceeded my expectations. Not just your mead, just everything. Everything is it's so good. You're on a mission here. You have a purpose. That's what we love it. I mean, I'll eat that up all day.
Yeah.
So appreciate you guys once again for having us. We'll let you get to your next engagement, but anything else that you haven't mentioned? How to get a hold of you? How to be a Mead Club member? Is that right? Mead Club?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Well, first off, thanks again, guys. No, we appreciate you thinking about us, having us on.
No problem at all.
Yeah, so the Mead Club, you can visit fourbrothersmead.com. We have a Mead Club link that'll give you more information and a link to sign up. You can always email us any questions you have at contact@fourbrothersmead.com, or just hit us up on the socials and we'll, someone will get back to you.
Usually someone gets back right away. I know I used to work midnights, and so people would send a message at 1 a.m. probably not expecting a response, and then like 3 minutes later, there I am, like, whoa,
That would
what?
scare the crap out of me.
Yeah,
This
right.
is why I emailed at 1 o'clock, so I didn't have to actually talk to
Right,
anybody.
exactly. Yeah, and but no, like I'm up at 4, usually finally in bed by 10, and so if I see something that I know I can answer, I respond right away. If one of the other brothers sees it and they know they can answer, they respond. If not, we'll talk to each other.
We got a lot of passion and heart into it, and any one of our patrons are, they're like family, so that's what it is. So we will get back to anyone as soon as we can. So
As soon as we can. And with that, keep in mind, we do have full-time jobs outside of this.
That's right.
We all have little kids. I have an almost 4-year-old and an almost 1.5-year-old, and it's
I don't know how you
It's
all find
chaos.
the time. I have no idea how you find the time. It's like I work full time. I have 2 kids, and I don't have time to run a mead business. I just don't.
Ooh, I
So-
don't know.
I don't know how I find the time either. I don't know either.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to think about it. It's like we have to stay busy and have to be doing something.
Right.
I'll get yelled at the house. My wife, she's like, well, can't you just sit down and not do something? Like, just stay here for 5 minutes and watch this show. I'm like, okay. And I look outside the window. She goes, stop. You're not going to go cut the lawn. You're not. I'm like, well, what? So.
like 45 seconds in, you're looking at your watch.
Yeah.
gotta
I
do
don't know. I
something.
just can't. I can't sit still.
Once again, appreciate you guys. Appreciate your service and all that you
Thank
do
you. Yes,
thank you very
for
much.
the country, for
Thank
the
you.
community. Keep it up, man.
Thanks,
very,
guys.
very nice to meet you. Very
Yeah,
nice
you
to meet
Absolutely,
too.
guys.
I
Thank
really
you.
do
Best of
appreciate
luck
it.
on your
Thanks
adventures here, and maybe we'll link up again down the road here. So,
Hope so.
Absolutely.
Hope so.
Yeah.
Good deal.
absolutely, guys. Thank you.